was thinking of that today, and me and a guy was talking about some things that's happened in our life, and I remember for some reason I just brought up again of Dustin, in his fall in 1999, and we was talking about that and how the Lord brought him through that, how the Lord started working from the minute he fell off that bridge. And still when I tell the story, just like today when I was telling the story to this guy, he didn't realize that had happened to Dustin.
And Tony, you might want to go ahead and tell that, because I'm sure we have a lot of listeners that were not listening then and did not know about Dustin. When they look at him today, oh my, what a monster he is. How tall is he?
He's 6'1" or 2" maybe. About probably 330. And,
all muscle.
All muscle, but I still got the bluff over him, Miss Drew. I still got the bluff over him.
You're still his daddy.
Yeah. But I'll tell that, and I'll try not to cry. But like I said, when I get to telling the story and just think of all the things, you get to thinking all the things step by step, that God done. And but in 1999, me and Sheila had been on vacation, and we came back, and Dustin and Kayla were going to go ahead and stay over at my mom and dad's house, and we had brought them some stuff that we bought in Tennessee for them, and we had bought Dustin a little knife, and but after I left, I went over to my uncle's house across the road, and to talk to him for about something, and Dustin and Kayla and Valerie, that's my sister, they got on their bicycles and rode over there where we were at. Well, Dustin had come up to me. He was 9 years old at the time, and he had come up to me and grabbed my leg and said, "Daddy, I love you." And I said, "Son, I love you too." And it wasn't 30 seconds. I heard a noise, and I looked down at the bridge, because he had to cross a creek, a bridge that I had looked over many a time as a child, and he lost his balance. He was looking for a snake, and he had lost his balance, and he went over. And at the time, the floods and stuff was washing out up underneath the bridge, so my uncle was trying to fill it back in with concrete. And so when I seen him go over, I just seen from his knees down to his feet. He had went in head first, but he didn't hit no water. And when I looked over, when I got there, I jumped down there, and I seen blood. When I was up at the top of the bridge, I seen blood come from the nose. I seen blood come from both ears. And through my training at work to be certified in CPR and all that stuff, I knew that blood coming from the ears is not good. And so I got to him and I touched him, and he raised up real quick and put his elbow down on the concrete and just rested his head on his shoulder. And I knew as quick as he came up that his neck wasn't broke. And my training kicked in, knowing that they had told us that as long as you hear moaning or groaning or something like that, just hang tight and just try to comfort him. So I put my hand in behind his head to support his neck like I was supposed to, and my two middle fingers went inside his head. It had busted him open like a pumpkin. And so I still didn't panic. I knew I had a job to do. And so the rescue guys got there, and that's when it started getting real, because I was holding him and I wouldn't let him go. I felt like I had control. I wouldn't let him go. Finally, one of my friends, he whispered in my ear, he said, "Tony, you gotta let him go. We've got to do what we gotta do." So when they took that light and shined in his eyes went out of his head. when they had to carry me out. I lost it. Because I knew my son was in bad shape. But from that moment, my daddy was kneeling in the creek. And he was praying for my little boy. God started working from that moment. They lost him twice. They told us to go on to Lexington. We got about halfway to Lexington and they just called us and told us to stop. Because it wasn't good. We knew what happened. But they didn't give up on him. They kept working with him and got him back. The helicopter's not supposed to leave the ground until the person is stable. So they got him stable, told us to go on. But this is what I share with a lot of people when I go out singing. I use this as a testimony of how God works. You know, I thank God today for people that He taught people. He had people on this earth that He made smart enough to learn how to fly a helicopter.
Right.
And from the time the helicopter left the Falkland area to Children's Hospital in Lexington, it was 14 minutes. I mean, we were already halfway to 3/4 way there, and they still beat us. But when we got there was they wasn't giving us any hope, and so I was with all the men in the emergency room, and my wife was with all the women, and this is what I shared. There was a row of seats where I was at, and I was facing those seats. Nobody sitting in those seats. And I can't tell you what this man's face looked like. I can't tell you. I don't know. Because when he come and sat down in front of me, all I seen was his shirt. And his shirt said, "Jesus is Lord." You couldn't imagine the peace that I felt in my heart. That God was sitting there telling me that Dustin's going to be okay. It's just going to have to be in my time. It's going to have to be in God's time. So as the evening went on, they let us go in and see him. The hardest thing ever was going into that emergency room, seeing him with his breeches cut from top to bottom. They had him laid out. And when they had those pants laid out, they had took his little pocket knife and laid it right beside his leg. I'll never forget it. But he was in a coma for a while. And this here's what I shared with the guy today. He was in our hospital for 7 or 8 days. And this was on a Sunday. This is what I want you to keep in mind. This was on a Sunday. And Dustin had been having some problems. He'd come out of the coma. And he'd been still having some problems and talking out of his head, and they'd have to do other things to him. And we thought they was going to have to put a shunt in because he was getting I think they call it hydrocephalus. I think it's where the fluid comes into the brain, but it don't go back out. So it causes your brain to swell. So we were sitting on the bed with him. This was on a Sunday. We were playing with him, and he looked up at me and he said, "Daddy, I feel something wet." And so I ran and got the nurse, and me and Sheila thought that he was done, maybe talking out of his head again. And the nurse come in, and what had happened was his IV had come out of his arm. And the fluid through the tube was leaking on his leg and on the bed. And so the nurse said, "Well, maybe we can leave this out. Let me go talk to the doctor." So she did and came back in and said, told us that they could leave the IV out. And just all of a sudden, you could see Dustin's color just starting to come back. And he was just getting more happier. And I told Sheila, I looked up at the clock, And I started tearing up. And I said, Sheila, you know exactly what's happening right now. I said, through WDFB, I said, through all the churches in this community, they're all praying for Dustin right now, because it was 11 o'clock. I said, they're all praying for Dustin right now. I said, he's healing our son in front of our eyes. That's what I believe till I see him. I'm thankful for it. You know, every day, every July, or July 12th, that's when it happened. It comes around, I think of that. And all the things that God did for Dustin. Brought him through that. Brought him through a wreck about 2 years ago. And God's been good to him.
Amen.
If I'm not mistaken, Tony, someone had called the station and we were praying on air, and people in the country were praying with us before the helicopter ever got him to Lexington.
Amen. You could feel the prayers too, because I mean, as far as up the road, up the fork and down the fork was just car after car after car, and you see people praying through that, and because they knew it was either, you know, my children or Mark's,
and I'm not even sure who called it in, but somebody had called and told us, and so we went on the air right then to pray.
And we really appreciated that, and like I said, I've shared that time and time again. You know, that whenever there is a situation that's going on that people need prayer, that WDFB will stop what they're doing. No matter what it is, they'll stop what they're doing and they'll pray for your need right then and now. And that's a real blessing for a community to have.
I've heard Don break in even when it was a message he was preaching on the air. I've heard him break into his own preaching and pray for a need, whatever it was that came in.
I just want to thank the Lord again for all He's done for me in my life and my family's life, and what He's going to continue to do.